Are you looking to move to Red Bank, New Jersey? I got just a video for you. Today we're checking out everything that you need to know before moving to Red Bank, whether it's commuting to New York City for work, the location, we're going to check the school district out, a couple of different restaurants, and much, much more. But before we get started, if it's your first time to the channel, my name is Steve McCutcheon, and I'm a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway. On the Live in Central New Jersey channel, we cover everything related to the Central Jersey real estate market. So if you're going to be the first one to know what's going on in either Monmouth or Ocean County real estate, feel free to click the bell, hit the subscribe button. Let's get the video started. All right, guys, as we open up the map view here, this is going to be an outline of Red Bank. You kind of see here through my cursor. And it's going to be in the most north, I would say northeastern side of Monmouth County. So Monmouth County is going to be pretty much in the central part of New Jersey and also along the Jersey Shore. It's going to be the start of the Jersey Shore, actually. So right up here, you got the Sandy Hook and all the way down. I think there's about like 130 plus miles of coastline in New Jersey. And then just kind of give you an idea of what it's like to, or at least Monmouth County is the very first county in terms of just being at the Jersey Shore. So it's an excellent spot to be. Highly recommend checking it out. So, and that's going to be the video today. So hopefully you're watching and you're in the right spot. But in terms of Monmouth County, it's going to be up here, go down to here, basically cut across Howell, all the way up to Upper Freehold, in a little bit, and up that way. So again, most likely Red Bank's going to be in that more northeastern part. In terms of location for New York City, if you scroll a little bit farther, so you got Red Bank, it's going to be right here. And you're going to have major roadways that go up into New York and everything. But here you're going to have Staten Island. This will be the Brooklyn area. And then this is most of the time people are talking about New York City. This spot right there, that's going to be Manhattan, Central Park. And most of the time if you're hearing commuting to the city for work, you're going to be thinking mostly Manhattan for the most part. So population in Red Bank is going to be about 13,000 residents, which is actually pretty, it's a lot for a town this size. It's only going to be 2 square miles. So it's going to be ranked 4th in density, which is obviously meaning that we have a lot of people in a smaller area. And it's going to be one of the more city vibes that we have here in Monmouth County. There's not going to be too many of those. If you watch my last video, I did a map tour of Asbury Park, and it's very similar. So you can get around or walking around Red Bank very easily. But if you go to any other parts of Monmouth County, we definitely recommend having your own personal vehicle because the town or the towns themselves can be pretty spaced out for the most part. So public transportation is good commuting to work, as we'll get to in a little bit. But in terms of actually just commuting in Monmouth County itself, it's going to be a little bit more difficult if you don't have a personal vehicle. So in terms of towns that's going to border, you're going to have Fairhaven over here to the right side, to the east. Little Silver and Shrewsbury, they're going to be to the south. You got Tinton Falls out here to the west, and Middletown. Middletown's going to be one of the bigger areas in general over here, and then you also have Homedale. So those are going to be 2 pretty massive towns. The towns along the shoreline, like we kind of just mentioned, they're going to be on more the smaller side. So that's why Red Bank's only 2 square miles. Believe it or not, it's pretty much ranks middle of the pack for the 53 towns that we have here in Monmouth County. So in terms of size, so about 2 square miles is right around that 26th, 27th height or biggest city mark. So again, not massive by any means, but it does have a pretty large population. Now, if you want to commute into New York City for work, that's a large portion of the population that is going to be in that northern Monmouth area likes to do. So even people in Red Bank, Marlborough, Freehold even, it's the reason a lot of people do this is because in New York City, you're going to make a higher salary. It's a great financial district, great area to do so. But sometimes the overall quality of life isn't going to be as good, and that's why you see a lot of people move into the New Jersey area, Monmouth County being one of them specifically. So it's still close enough, like we already kind of mentioned, to drive into the city, but it's also not going to be as condensed as that northern Jersey area. So you can see Newark up here, Hoboken, Jersey City, the Oranges. Not everyone loves that area necessarily. So if you're not from there specifically or originally, you probably don't want to live up there and work up there. Now, Hoboken, Jersey City are kind of like, I would say, New York City or Manhattan 2.0 pretty much. But if you don't want that city life necessarily and you want something more suburban, Monmouth County is definitely gonna be the way to go. I mean, you can just see all the green in the area over here. Absolutely phenomenal area. I grew up in Monmouth in Freehold, so love the area, talk highly of it, and we'll kind of get into this a little bit more. So there's 4 main ways to commute from Red Bank into New York City. First one would just be driving yourself. The second one would be taking the train, taking the bus, or believe it or not, there's even going to be a ferry access over in this area, and I'll bring you right into Manhattan this way. So you can go up either direction. First one, driving yourself. We'll just kind of go through that really fast. I can actually just bring it up here. Red Bank to New York City. The main way, as they have outlined here, is going to be the Garden State Parkway. So if you go west out into Red Bank over here, you'll have the GSP. The other major roadway that's going to cut through, if I have to cover that before, will be Route 35. Kind of outline it for you real fast. It's going to be this road right here. 35 is nice. That's going to bring you through every single Jersey Shore town that we have pretty much. So it's going to start up here in like that Keyport Hazlet area, and it's going to go all the way down south into even Point Pleasant, Ocean County, even farther from there into like Tom's River, Ortley, Lavalette, and a couple others. So very long road if you travel all the way down, but it can bring you through every single shore town. The main way, like I said, to commute, though, is going to be taking the Garden State Parkway. This is going to be one of the two major toll roads that we have here in New Jersey. The other one's going to be the New Jersey Turnpike. So the Garden State Parkway is going to be a little more along the East Coast, as you can kind of see the outline here. In Jersey Turnpike, if you see I-95, it's also going to be, it's the same thing, essentially. They're going to intersect once you get up to here, and then depending on which way you want to go, some people will take 95 in. You can stick with the Garden State Parkway, go a little farther up in New York City that way. There's a couple different routes. You can even cut through Staten Island if you want. I wouldn't recommend that one as much just because you're going to run into a lot of traffic there. It's a lot higher congestion area. So, but this kind of gives you some options. Now, it says an hour and 11 minutes right now. I'm recording this after work, so 5:45. We're gonna have to change the leave now. We want to say depart at normal rush hour time. Let's just say 7 a.m. This is going to increase. So it goes from about an hour and 11 minutes. Let it calculate. Got to give it a second. And then you're going to have an hour and 5 minutes up to an hour and 50 minutes. So an hour and 11, let's say it's on the low end, and then it goes up to, I would say more likely than not, it's probably going to run you about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. That's going to be accounting for rush hour traffic, right? So a lot more cars on the roads, possibly an accident or two, people, the way people drive nowadays. Then you're also going to have to deal with weather, maybe rain, snow. We get that all the time in Jersey as well. So I think we're actually in one of our bigger droughts. We haven't had rain in almost like a month or so here and going into the fall, which is nice sometimes, but also we do need the water. You got to do some crops, a lot of farms around the area as well. So, and a lot of greenery. We got to keep it, hydrated. So, but so about an hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes if you're going to be driving yourself. And these are going to be the easiest two routes. There's really no other better way to kind of get into the city, unfortunately, there. So the second option would be taking the bus. Red Bank and some other towns are going to have something called park and rides. So it's where you're going to park your vehicle in a certain location, and then you could take the bus into the New York City or wherever the destination you're getting to. Red Bank is going to be just outside. I think it's technically Lincroft over here, but it's not showing up, but it's supposed to be right in this area right here. So when you come out west, right before the Garden State Parkway, something right in here is going to be a parking ride. So you bring your vehicle over, you have a parking pass for the month or whatever the case is, you pay that, and you're able to use your car or leave your car there, take the bus into New York City. Now, to my knowledge, NJ Transit doesn't do the bus over here. You're going to have to go through an Academy line, which is essentially the exact same thing. It's just not run by New Jersey Transit. It's just a private bus line. So time-wise, it's going to be roughly about the same as driving yourself. So count about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 at the max. Same thing, traffic. And as you can see right here, the heaviest traffic spot, believe it or not, is going to be right where this Newark area is. The airport's going to be right in this smaller circle I'm making there. So right as soon as you hit the airport or after that, basically the bridges that it takes to get into New York City over here, that's where the majority of your commute, let's just say it takes you about 45 minutes to get to like Newark airport. It's going to take another 45 to travel that little bit of distance right there, which is kind of wild when you think about it, but that's just the way it goes with the traffic. There's only so many bridges that can get you into New York City for work. So that's going to be option 2. Option 3 is going to be taking the train. They actually have these up here that you could do. Kind of awesome. I've never even used them before. Oh well. Train for Red Bank is going to be in the downtown area. You can see the line's going to be right here. Highlight it for you. And that's going to bring you through most of the Jersey Shore towns that we have here as well. So you're going to be looking at, it'll bring you from Red Bank down to Asbury. Belmar's going to be along over here, get down to Manasquan. The last stop's going to be either Point Pleasant. I think there's one after Point Pleasant. I think it's called Bayhead over near like that brick area. So Point Pleasant and Bayhead's probably going to be your longest commute to New York City, around about the 2 hours, 2.5 hour mark. And probably 2:15. I shouldn't say 2.5. And then you have the Red Bank where we mentioned before. Train-wise, I would say it's closer to an hour and a half. That's going to bring you into Penn Station. The bus, I forgot to mention, that will bring you into Port Authority. So if I had to choose any of the options right now, I would say the train's probably the easiest. You can walk over to the train station, assuming you live in like close to somewhere in that downtown area. Red Bank's also not very big, so, and the train is pretty centrally located. So you can pretty much get to it from anywhere in Red Bank if you're willing to walk a little bit of distance. And then the last option is going to be the ferry. They're going to have a couple different ports. You're going to have the Highlands, Atlantic Highlands, and you're going to have the Belford one over here. So Atlantic Highlands, and Belford. That's going to be your 3 ports that you can get to. So obviously, as you can see, going from Red Bank to here isn't going to be too far of a drive. I would put that at roughly, depending on which way you go up, I don't know, anywhere from 15, 20 minutes. But the commute from the ferry over into New York City, That's also going to be your fastest one that we have. That's roughly, if you're looking to get into the Wall Street district, let's just say I think it's the first stop on there. That's going to run you about 45 minutes from the port. So if it takes you 15 minutes to get to Atlantic Highlands, 45 minutes over to New York, let's say it's an hour, maybe even at 15 between parking and everything else. So you're looking at about an hour and 15 minutes probably total from door to where you get to and work there necessarily. So that could be a pretty good option for you as well if you don't mind it. The ferry will be the most expensive of the bus and train though. So anything in the public transportation market, that'll be the highest cost to you at least. So, but that's going to be your four options to get into New York City from Red Bank. If it was me, I'd probably just take the train. I think it'd be the easiest in my opinion, but to each their own. And obviously if you need your own vehicle, well, then you're stuck driving yourself as well. So it kind of all depends on that a little bit. Next up is going to be the school systems. I go to niche.com. Anyone, you can use whatever site you want, great schools. And there's quite a few other ones I'm sure out there. But New Jersey in itself just pretty much ranks usually on most lists for the entire US in like the top 2, 3, or 4 states in the entire US, 4 school districts. And Red Bank, though, for Monmouth County, it's weird the way it is. So the actual Red Bank Borough Public School District that we have pulled up here is going to be rated a C, and that's going to be low by Monmouth County standards. Monmouth County, we'll get to in a second, you're going to see a lot of different districts that are going to be ranked in A. But if you notice, this one's also just going to be K through 8, right? They're not going to have the high school in this. This is going to be a separate district in a sense. So the Red Bank Borough Public School District is going to be rated a C, houses about 1,300 students, and has a student-teacher ratio of 13:1. Again, it's going to cover K through 8 on that one. Just give me an idea of the map. It'll show you where the schools are going to be located. All right, so you got 2 right here. I think it's just elementary, middle, right? Yeah, elementary, middle school. That's pretty much about it. Then you're going to have the Red Bank Regional High School District. So get to that in a second. This is going to be rated an A and the 9th best public high school in Monmouth County. So still really highly rated. Now, why would you think that's going to be? Why is the high school going to be rated an A and the regular school system is just going to be rated a C? In my opinion, the biggest difference is going to be the one word, and that's going to be regional. So they pull in kids from Shrewsbury, Tinton Falls, and I'm sorry, Shrewsbury, Little Silver, and Red Bank. So you're gonna have 3 different towns funding this one high school. And in my opinion, I think that's probably why they're going to have a better rating to it. You're going to have more funding, better teachers are going to be able to get there, and everything, all your resources are going to be increased. So that's going to be rated an A. It's just going to be grades 9 through 12, as you can see, has about 1,200 students and a 10:1 student-teacher ratio. So that's going to be your public school options. Now, there are going to be 2 private options, and they're both going to be pretty highly rated. One's going to be directly in Red Bank. That's going to be Red Bank Catholic. And the other one's going to be CBA. That's going to be a little bit farther west into Lincroft, which is basically like the next town over. And they're going to be pretty much across the street from the Brookdale Community College, which is the community college from Monmouth County. With CBA, though, that's going to be the 3rd ranked private school in Monmouth. Academy. The biggest difference here, oh, I actually have the 2nd now. I thought that was 3rd. So they're going to rank it 2nd best. So I'm assuming Red Bank Catholic, when we get to that in a second, that's going to be rated 3rd best. But location-wise, oh, I kind of just blocked it up. So you can see the Garden State Parkway is over here. A little farther east of there is going to be Red Bank. And then you come down this road right here. That's going to bring you into Lincroft. So Brookdale is here, as I mentioned. And then CBA is pretty much going to be up here. They have a rated an A, grades 9 through 12, 876 students, and a 12:1 student-teacher ratio. The tuition that they have here at $15,800 for the year, that's the highest grade, so they rank off the highest one being obviously being a senior. I think it's a little cheap. If I remember checking off their website a while back, it's a little bit higher than that now, but I don't know how often, obviously, they update niche.com with that. So the biggest difference with Christian Brothers is going to be an all-boys school versus Red Bank Catholic, which we'll get to in a second, is going to be co-ed. So just giving you a heads up, if you have a daughter, they're not going to be able to attend Christian Brothers, which is also kind of a given thinking with the name. But again, you never know. High school is for athletes, 19th out of 525. Growing up in Freehold CBA, it's for short for Christian Brothers Academy. That was one of our biggest rivals. We were in the same division as them. And by far, like a lot of people that are going to Christian Brothers Academy, the majority, I feel, go there to play sports. Don't get me wrong, you will have kids that are just going there for the schooling because it's excellent. They can get you into really good colleges over there. And they're a highly rated private high school in New Jersey in general. But a lot of kids that go there, they go for the sports, and they were always very competitive in everything. Their track team, if I'm not mistaken, is actually #1 in the nation. But don't quote me on that just necessarily. But at least from what I've read, it seems to be that they're extremely high ranked across the US. But so that's going to be Christian Brothers Academy, and then you're going to have Red Bank Catholic. This one's going to be co-ed. Okay, and they're gonna be number 3 now. So they might have flip-flopped, or I could have also just been mistaken, but you can see their colors are gonna be gold and green. They're also gonna be rated an A. Doesn't look like they have too much data on them though. Yearly tuition of roughly 16,500, maybe say 17,000 now with a little bit of inflation in there. But overall, great school district or great schools in general. So you're going to have anything from the Red Bank Regional High School, Red Bank Catholic, or CBA. You just kind of maybe have to figure something out for if you want a little bit of a higher experience for the elementary and middle school, maybe going to a private school for that too. So there might be some other options in the area. So that's going to be at least your school systems for Red Bank or the ones that are close nearby. Then before we head on to the second part of the video, guys, we're going to get into the housing section. If you're finding any value, please drop a like down the video below. It helps the algorithm just pushing this out to as many people as possible. And if you're looking to possibly buy or sell, not necessarily in the Red Bank area, but even just in Monmouth County, Ocean County in general, feel free to reach out. We get calls, texts, emails from people just like you all the time. So don't be shy. I help people from out of state all the time. If that's something that you're going through right now and you're looking to move to New Jersey, I even have one client right now that's currently out of the country and moving to New Jersey as well. So, doesn't matter where you're located. Feel free to reach out, and we can even hop on a Zoom call just like I'm on right now, and we get to know each other a little bit. So let's get into the housing options. So with that, I like to use our MLS. It just makes my life a little bit easier. And there's pretty much 3 main types, right? You're going to have adult communities, condos and townhomes, and then single families. If you can't tell, that's how we lay it out here. So with adult communities, there's 2 developments. You're going to have one that's going to be directly in Red Bank, and then one more on the outskirts over here. Price point wise, the one's going to be anywhere between about like 150 to 300. I think that one's going to be a little bit more higher end. You're going to be looking at 450 and upwards. So neither one's going to, they're not going to be massive by any means. They have it listed here. The highest one's just under 1,400 square feet, 1,100 over here. And typically they're all one level. So you're not going to have to worry too much about the stairs unless maybe it's like a condo situation where you have an upper and a lower level unit. So that'll pretty much be at the absolute most, but nothing too crazy with adult communities here in Red Bank. Next up with your condos. This is going to be a larger part or bulk of the sales here in Red Bank. And as you can see, they're all pretty much spaced out, right? You're going to have a community over here, another one closer to the water. Those are going to be a little pricey. We'll get to that in just a second too. But you can see they're all over the place. There's going to be quite a few ones in the area, and they're not going to be condensed in just one singular location. Sorry, I got to take a sip of water there. It's a little bit of much talking this nonstop. But price point wise, what are they going to run you? Well, the median house price in general in Monmouth County, I'm not sorry, not Monmouth County, but in Red Bank is going to be 650, and that's not far from actually the Monmouth County one. Last time I checked, it was also 675, so pretty right on par with the rest of Monmouth. But with the condos and townhomes, it looks like you're probably not moving ready for these lower price ones, but let's just say 300, maybe need a little bit of work done to them, and they just gradually go up and up and up. Now, it's going to matter with if you have a water view or not. So obviously, if you're in a higher end area, or not higher end area, but a higher end unit or more desirable unit, you might be overlooking the water. Anytime you have a water view of a property, if you're a waterfront property, your price point's automatically going to just skyrocket. So there's only so many of those available. And if you're dealing with something in like a penthouse, you're going to notice that, oh my God, $2.8 million for this one, right? What's the deal? Why is that one so much more money? Well, if the pictures ever load for it, we'll go through it. There we go. Obviously, just quite a few different, just design-wise, looks absolutely gorgeous. High ceilings, massive windows, natural sunlight, a lot of different amenities with this one just alone, right? Kitchen has some great countertops, stainless steel appliances, great massive island. And then you're overlooking the water. So I don't know if this is the tallest part, but this might be one of the penthouses. Bathroom's got like floor to ceiling tiling in there. But yeah, you see, it looks like probably one of the penthouse ones, but you're overlooking the water. You got the boats over there, parking. It's absolutely gorgeous unit. So that's going to run you in the $2.8 million range, whereas you also have $300,000 condos. So it's going to vary quite heavily depending on what you want. I would say the bulk of the sales, though, in between about 7 and 400, more than likely. That's probably going to be like where you're going to see the majority of them being price point at, or like at least your first time home buyer. So there are going to be options for you as you're getting into or looking into Red Bank too. Yeah, majority as we're going just scrolling through here. I'm going a little fast. I apologize, but yeah. So I would say between 400 and 700 for the condos in the area. And then you're going to have your single family homes. This is your more traditional, just individual home, not connected, detached. they're going to be all over the place for the most part. Red Bank can have some older homes. So I like to tell my clients that specifically just because anytime I have someone looking in the area, certain parts of it, if it's not been built up recently, typically it's mostly on the outskirts of Red Bank. So this is, let's just say this is going to be like your downtown area over here. This is typically a little bit newer. Oh, I didn't mean to block out of that. Whoops. There we go. Out here, that's going to be typically your older homes, somewhere in this range, and probably out here too. I would say just be aware that they might be built in maybe like the early to mid 1900s, which isn't a bad thing. Actually, believe it or not, the wood and lumber that they used on homes back then, much better the quality than the ones we have right now. But just be aware of that. So you might be looking at homes that possibly need a little bit more renovation done to it. And there might be a couple extra problems that you won't necessarily be looking at or won't be aware of until maybe you bought the home. So, and then also too, I know last time I showed a client, we were out in this area in Red Bank. Not gonna want to work right here. This pen. There we go. We were out here. He was looking at new construction. So sometimes with these smaller homes that might have been out there before previously, they get knocked down and built back up. And these developers, they built these beautiful new construction, single families, 4 beds, 3 baths, full finished basement, or whatever the case is. And then it looks really out of place to like the historic kind of looking vibe to some of these houses that they have here in Red Bank. So just something to think about when you're moving. Like it seems like some of those homes can be really out of place compared to what was there originally. So again, to each their own what you're looking for, but price point wise, it's going to be similar to what you saw with the condos. It's going to vary heavily depending on where you're located, and then on top of if you're on the water or not. So you can see like the smallest moving ready homes are going to be in that 450 range. And don't forget too, 650 is the median price, right? So that's going to be where the middle of the price ranges all are for the homes here. But the smaller ones, 2, 3 bedrooms, that 450 price range and going upwards. The biggest listing we have currently looks like an estate is going to be about just under $4.2 million. They had a price change recently, but give you an idea, it's pretty much overlooking everything over here. And this actually isn't directly on the water. So the ones, believe it or not, that are going to be like right here, probably even more money. But great area, phenomenal spot to be. And again, obviously it's going to be a limited marketplace if you're looking at $4.2 million homes. But if you have the capacity to do so, find something on the water, absolutely gorgeous, especially near the Navasink River. There's different things you could do there. You see a lot of them, they're going to have their docks, they're going to have your own boat. It's a big boating area, fishing area. That's one of the kind of biggest things to do entertainment wise, which we'll get to in just a second. But it's a solid spot to be. And then if you move down a little bit, but majority of the homes here, 700s, 800s, if you're looking for something a little bit more higher end, and obviously they break into the 7-figure range too. But you're looking at, if you're on the smaller side of things, a 2 bed, 3 bed, 500 to 700. Once you hit 700, then you're probably looking at 4 bedrooms and going upwards there. So just kind of give you an idea like where you're at price point wise. But it's an awesome spot to be, great location. Again, the school system maybe in the elementary middle isn't the best, but as your kids get older into the high school range, plenty of different options for you there. So I would say Red Bank's a pretty good spot to raise a family, and you're located near Middletown, Homedale, and all those other type of cities. So, or towns in the area. So you have quite a few different options. If Red Bank maybe isn't the one for you either. So, a couple different things just to go over as well as inside of Red Bank in general. What's there to do necessarily, right? So entertainment wise, as we scroll in on Red Bank here, the Court Basie Theater, that's going to be one of the bigger ones in the area. It's a theater. You can catch a show. Comedy shows are a big thing over there too. So you can catch a play, comedy show. That's always fun. We mentioned just the boating in general. So you're going to have the Navasink River out into, goes all the way pretty much. So that's going to be big for boating. You're going to have some fishing that can go on over there. Anything that's going to be water sports related typically is going to be available to you in that area. If you want to just go to, they have a nice little garden over here. If you want to go out for a walk, get some exercise. So there's a lot of things to do necessarily in Red Bank. You can also go out. They have a pretty good nightlife here. Teak, it's going to show up second. That's going to be like a bar and nightclub they have. And there's going to be plenty of other different spots, bar and restaurant wise in here or in Red Bank that you can go to. So if you're looking just for a night out, it's a pretty good nightlife over in Red Bank. As you scroll out of Red Bank, in Homedale over here, you're going to have PNC Bank Arts Center. It's going to be located right off of the Garden State Parkway. That's going to be a concert venue. It's going to be outdoors. They do have a little bit of covered seating. It's not necessarily indoor seating, but it's just covered from the elements. So if it ever rains on you one day, you won't be getting wet, or at least as bad as the people in the lawn seats. But that's about like a 20,000 person venue. So that's always a great spot to go. If you want to head a little bit more east into the Seabright, Monmouth Beach area, you can go check out the Ocean, one of the many beaches that we have here in the area. Go a little bit farther south into Pier Village. That's going to have, or I'm sorry, into Long Branch, and it has Pier Village. That's going to be a great destination spot. A lot of shopping over there, so that's a great place to be. If you go a little bit farther there, you're going to have Asbury and Belmar. That's, I would say, another big nightlife area, Jersey Shore town. So you're going to have in Belmar, Borough, DJs is pretty famous. Boathouses over there. Asbury Park's going to be a little bit different of a vibe to it, but has just as many great spots. The Stone Pony is a great live music venue. You're going to have the Wonder Bar too. If you want something that's going to be like that mid 20s, early 20s, Johnny Max is going to be a great spot for that. So there's within a half an hour of any direction of Red Bank, you're going to have just about anything that you're going to want to do. Homedale Park is going to be over here. You're going to have great hiking options. So again, pretty much a little bit of everything for somebody that, or any interest that you possibly could have is probably going to be covered within inside of Red Bank, if not within 20, 30 minutes outside of there. And then just the last thing probably going to want to cover, just some shopping and dining options available to you. I already mentioned Pier Village over in Long Branch, but if you're looking just necessarily in Red Bank, you're going to have quite a few different options too. So there's going to be a lot of boutiques. You can see this kind of like their city area over here. That's going to have a lot of different boutique shops. What else is over here? I think Urban Outfitters is up here somewhere too. So just a couple different things that you can possibly get and check out. If you go a little bit farther south into Shrewsbury, you're going to have the Grove. That's also going to be a pretty good shopping area there too. And food store wise, there's going to be a Food Town right here, and then an Acme over in the Fairhaven right around this area up here. So everything's going to be relatively pretty close to Red Bank in walking distance. It's a solid location, guys. We've been talking good things about it the entire time. I did do a pros and cons video on it, so if you want to see maybe some possible negatives of Red Bank, maybe just the traffic congestion, the high cost, it's just off the top of my head, I think. I'll link that in the video description down below too, but that'll pretty much wrap things up. If you're thinking about moving to the Red Bank area, feel free to reach out. All my contact information is down low in the comments and description. So whether you're 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, even a year out, it doesn't matter to me. Let's just get you on the right path towards your real estate goals. And if you're looking to move to a different part of the Central Jersey area, check out 2 videos popping up and hopefully help you out a bit too. Have a great day.